Jitsu Squad is a beat 'em up that is pure visual eye candy, which will stand out from most of the other games. In today's video, I'll let you know if the game has any substance beyond the art style. The game originated on Kickstarter and was funded within 24 hours. And unlike so many other Kickstarter games, this one actually delivered on the promises that it originally gave. I was recommended this game by Sho, who has a solid channel, and is a guy I've never met, but I pictured that he would look like this. Jitsu Squad is a 4-player beat 'em up that's currently on PC, and it'll be coming out later this year on the consoles. So it's a straight up beat 'em up with light RPG elements in which you play one of 4 furry animal characters and battle an evil entity. Yes, I know, it sounds lame, but stay with me, it's good. The game has a very cringy but at times funny story about a sorcerer trying to get a mystical statue that can unleash hell upon the world. 4 furry warriors are summoned to stop this from happening, and oh lord, does this sound lame as I'm saying this. Okay, the story sucks, but the game looks pretty, so lay off! As much as the story is forgettable, I will give it a plus for it has cutscenes and voice acting in between the stages. So it's not just one of those games that has a static text in between the levels, it does have some production into it. The game is also loaded with lots of references to other games, and a few of the sound effects sound awfully familiar to me, and it sounds like they came from some classic Capcom games. The game has 4 different animals that you can choose from. You can have the Tanuki, who is well balanced, the rabbit, who is skilled at range attacks, the frog, no, his name's not Tony, who is a Bruce Lee knockoff that is loud and annoying, and finally the character who I found to be the most OP of them all is a Viking boar, who is slow, but I found him to be the best at clearing large amounts of enemies at a given time. If I were to explain the gameplay, I'd say it's basically a mixture of classic beat 'em up and Street Fighter. You can chain your basic attacks by timing when your character has an electrical field that surrounds them, and the longer the chain, the stronger the attack. And I found that to be, especially because how hectic this game is, it's kind of hard to do. Hard to pay attention, because when you have 20-30 enemies flying across the screen and you're just mashing the buttons, it's kind of hard to time it properly, so you basically have to memorize the timing without the visual cues. Each of the characters will also have unique secondary weapons, special moves, and screen clearing attacks. The secondary weapons range from flame swords, Gatling guns, ninja stars, and many more. You gain special moves as you level up, and these moves are pulled off with the same inputs as like classic Street Fighter 2 moves, such as the Hadouken. The levels also have jars and other items that you can break, and sometimes you can find a badge, which allows you to summon help. Now these summons are also way over the top, and I believe most of them, like the characters in the summons, are from other indie games, and some weird YouTubers. Fret not, I say. I didn't notice any super cringy YouTubers such as this weirdo. So each of the characters also has screen clearing attacks, and these are so over the top, and they're absolutely hilarious, and I would say gaudy, maybe flashy, but they are important, and you need to make sure to use them at the right times, because there's certain parts in certain levels where they just swarm you and you're getting stuck into a juggle in the air because they keep hitting you, so you'll need to save it for those times. But whenever you do trigger them, oh my goodness, they're hilarious. I definitely will say that it's probably one of the most unique set of screen clearing attacks I've ever seen in any beat 'em up. What everyone will notice about this game is the visuals. This is one of the smoothest and nicest looking indie games I've ever played. The first thing that comes to mind when I played this, it was Castle Crashers. And it's far more detailed than that game, but similar in the vein that the art style and all the extra details that Castle Crashers had in the background as you go through the levels. I noticed a lot of that about that in this game. If you look through the backgrounds, there's a lot of fun animations and little jokes in the background. Without a doubt, this game gets a 10 on 10 on the graphics, purely just by how clean everything looks. There are a ton of animations and a large variety of enemies, and the special moves and everything just looks extremely smooth and clean. It looks absolutely gorgeous on the Steam Deck, and still maintains the visual fidelity on the big screen when it was blown up. Audio-wise, the voice acting is extremely cringe. It's awful. It's to a point where it's so bad it's good.
Reporting for duty, Captain. It seems that the Jitsu Squad is heading towards our ship.
Oh, let me take a look at them scabby sea bass. Oh, I see them rotten bunch of barnacle beef babies.
Do you want me to shoot him down, sir?
Oh no, let him come here, and I will squash them with me bare butt cheeks.
The music is pretty generic, like it's not bad, not great, but there is one banging tune that totally reminds me of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade games or other brawlers from the early 90s. And I'll play a bit of it here, and it's just absolutely, that one is awesome. The rest of the music, bunch of meh. The gameplay, as I mentioned, is probably the weakest aspect of the package. I found for the most part that just brute forcing my way through the enemies by mashing the buttons or using special combos will get you through the game. You don't really need that much technique to get through the levels. The grappling is absolutely terrible in this game though. It is very difficult to grab onto an enemy, and when you do grab onto an enemy, all you can do is do a bop on the head and like half-heartedly throw an enemy across the screen. Usually what happens is you try grabbing an enemy, and then a projectile will hit you, or else a swarm of other enemies will hit you from behind, and you end up just getting massacred, so it's not even worth the effort. What they could do to make the grappling better, I think, is if they added movesets similar to, like, you know, classic wrestling, where you would take a guy from his legs and spin him in circles. I think it was called like an airplane slam, and at least take out a bunch of enemies while you're doing it. Something like that would really make the grappling worth doing in the game. I also found one of the biggest issues that the game has is sometimes certain enemies will hit you and juggle you in the air, and there's no way you can break out of that juggle, and you'll deplete like over half your health bar just from getting smacked in the air. That's why I said you have to save your special abilities, because sometimes that will help you break out. And that's something I think a bug fix or whatever you would call an update could help out in the game, because it's kind of a pain in the ass. The good news is that there is a generous amount of lives and continues. Because when you die at the end at a level, you start at the beginning of the level. You don't have to start at the beginning of the game, so you can get through the game. I will say that the special moves and the blocking and counter mechanics are done really well, though. When you do counter, it pushes back all the enemies in front of you and gives you a chance to start your combo, and I found that to be really good. Overall, I would say the gameplay is good, but not great. It's not Streets of Rage 4, but it's far from being crap like Double Dragon Neon. The game is broken up from a hub world, so you can continue if you die, and it took me around 3 hours to get from start to finish, just on my own. I unfortunately have not tried the 4-player mode out, since I'm a recluse who never invites friends over, and because I live in Canada. All summer I was out picking poutine trees and chugging maple syrup, while pondering why my friends in Ontario get their milk in bags. So that's why I don't have any 4-player footage. So I can only imagine with more players the game would be more fun and more manageable with less times where you're getting juggled in the air, and way more chaotic. Another YouTuber, I'll show you some footage here, had them playing 4 players, and it looks pretty awesome. Like, I have to admit, this would be one I think would be better on the console, just because it's just easier to get 4 people together on a console. So this might be a fun party game. And once you do beat the game, it unlocks more modes for you to play. One of the modes that I liked was called the Legendary mode, and in that mode where you replay the missions again, but this time mid-level you can swap different characters on the fly by just pressing a button. That was pretty fun. I like that one. And they're promising more DLC and other future modes, such as the boss rush mode in the near future, so it does have a lot more stuff coming out, so you do have some replayability. Overall, I'd say this is most certainly an indie gem. That is a great game on PC, but will be even better on the console to play couch co-op with all your friends. I would not hesitate and wait for a sale. This one is probably worth the full price. Right now it's around 20 Canadian dollars. And I fully recommend getting it, and hopefully down the road they can make a sequel with more moves and just a bit more levels and more depth. And I think this one is a great one to pick up if you're into beat 'em ups. And that's all I got for this one. Hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to subscribe, like, leave comments, hate mail, whatever you want. And until next time, have a good one.
Here we go! Surfing on the lava! You know